And once more we turn another page in the story of our beloved Auntie Alice. The following excerpt is taken from the book Legendary Territorians by an NT legend himself in the late Reg Harris. This is the story of Alan Wauchope, champion of Centralian stories and tourism. After the first editor of the Centralian Advocate remained only a short time, Pop Chapman looked for a replacement and selected Alan Wauchope, a journalist who had worked on several southern papers, to take the helm in the early 1950s. The Advocate then was a 24-page weekly with a tiny staff. Ron Morecambe, the manager, printer, typesetter and linotype operator, Alan as editor and reporter, and Ilmar Nookie Baldock, who helped fold and collate pages each Thursday. Enter a then very young Reg Harris, a sports writer, very eligible bachelor, and president of the local football league, who recalls arriving at Alan's home early Monday mornings to write up the weekend's football results while Alan cooked bacon and eggs. Reg's league position and club involvement gave him access to sensitive information, which often appeared in his articles, to the amusement and sometimes frustration of league officials who wondered how he could report so much. Meanwhile, Alan battled a heavy drinking habit, constantly moving his alcohol stash to stay one step ahead of Ron, who was always trying to find it. When the Advocate changed management, Alan turned to freelancing, where he wrote a weekly page for the Australasian Post called Straight from the Heart, featuring colourful anecdotes about Central Australian characters and its events. His work did more to promote tourism in the Northern Territory than any other single effort, which was in place at the time. Harris recalls visitors knocking on Alan's door saying they had come to Alice Springs because of his stories. Hundreds of heartfelt thanks over the many years. Alan later left journalism to work as secretary for the Northern Territory's MHR Jock Nelson. After Nelson retired, Alan was transferred to a stores position in the Northern Territory Administrative Department. His struggles with alcohol briefly returned, though they did not really affect his work. A clerical error led to 2 group certificates being issued, and he was charged with criminal theft. Appearing in court, Alan was found not guilty, with the judge criticising the bureaucracy. If they could mail him a personal cheque every week, it was unreasonable to treat it as theft. Alan repaid the money and returned promptly to sobriety. It was only in his later years that Alan returned to the Centralian Advocate as a specialist writer, producing a popular column of the day called The Old Alice. Even while battling cancer, he continued writing. Reg Harris recalls visiting him with a bottle of white wine, sharing a quiet moment at his bedside. Alan could only manage half a glass, and he passed away shortly afterward, effectively leaving Central Australia without one of its most devoted promoters of tourism, a man whose influence was felt widely but really never formally recognised. Alan Wauchope's legacy endures in the stories he told, the visitors he inspired, and the love he showed for the people and landscapes of Central Australia.
Join us next time for more stories and Legendary Territorians by Reg Harris.